Welcome back, everybody. This is our video series, Chasing 300, Part 175, or Breaking 175. Breaking 175 is all about keeping it simple. Do we have a spare ball? Do we have a spare routine? Are we targeting correctly to hit the pocket more? You may feel like we need to strike more, right? Everybody at every level of the game is like, I want to get strikes, I want to get strikes. But if you're really trying to break 175, it's really about the spare game and keeping it simple. Can we manage our game a little better? So to start, we're going to talk about targeting. As you can see behind me here at Turbo, we use something called the torch to help you with targeting. We're going to talk about what three-point targeting is. Three-point targeting is choosing a point down the lane, whether it be a pin or somewhere past maybe the 45 feet mark, and using that as our first target. And then you're going to draw an imaginary line, or in this case, you're going to look at the blue line behind me and find another target, maybe halfway down the lane. And then you're going to take that target, keep drawing that imaginary line back to somewhere through the arrows or dots, depending on where you look, and start to build something consistent. It's really important to do this for spares. So when you're standing on the approach, especially if you have decent footwork, and we're going to talk about footwork a little bit more on why it's so important. But if you have pretty good footwork where you can slide in a very consistent spot often, you're going to find that you're going to use this targeting system a couple times and then not need to use it again because you'll know exactly where to look. So we're going to start with that pesky 10 pin for you right-handers out there. I know like it's our least favorite pin, but unfortunately we probably shoot at them a decent amount at this stage of our game. And so what I want you to do is pick a place you're comfortable. Somewhere for right-handers, I always say for my lessons at least, to try to stand between 28 and 35. I don't really care where it is as long as it's consistent. And then from there, for me personally, I stand on 35 for this spare, so I already know where I'm going to look. But then I want you to look at the 10 pin, and I want you to try to draw that imaginary line back through the arrows and try to figure out where it's going to have you look. For me, it's 23, but I do know after a long period of time that I drift a little left, and I generally hit at least one left of where I'm looking. So as I drift left, the line's going to change a little bit for me, but I look at 24, and I'm probably going to hit 25 because of all the times I bowled. I understand my misses, I guess we could say. So when I stand on 35, it says look at 23. I built a system around that, but now I know that I'm looking 24, probably hitting 25, but generally speaking, as long as I do that, I hit the 10 pin. So once you have that done, and you feel like you're pretty consistent with the 10 pin, we have to build a system off of that. Some people have a 3-board system, some people have a 2-board system. Changes for everybody, okay? What I would say is build a system that fits you, try different things. For me personally, I actually look at the same spot for all my right side spares. I move my feet accordingly. So if I'm shooting at the 610, instead of standing on 35 and looking 24, I will stand on 33 and look 24 and move my eyes 2 boards left, which will generally speaking put me on the right side of the 6 pin. And then for the 3-6-10, I do the same thing again, where I go 2 more boards and I look at the same target, and that puts me on the right side of the 3 pin. For some of you, you may want to look farther right. A lot of people like to use arrows. They don't like to look at specific boards. Maybe try to build a system around 20 or the middle arrow where you can stand in different spots, but always look 20 for a comfortability perspective. Please do me a solid. If you're really trying to better your game and make more spares, go get a spare ball. Like, don't fight it. Like, there's tools out there for you to make more spares. Go get one. If you watched our first part of this series, we talked about the release a little bit and what thumb timing is. This we take to even another level when we're trying to break 175, because not only do we need our thumb timing to be good, we need our release to be consistent, and we need to hit the pocket more. So you can use this targeting system for strike shots if you're struggling with like break points and where to aim down the lane. But most importantly, we have to start rolling the ball the same way time after time. And so as we are working on breaking 175, try not to do anything crazy. Don't get outside of your comfort zone, but try to keep it simple and playing the lanes in a way you're going to hit the pocket a lot. Don't care about the pesky splits you might leave or the spares we might miss. Let's hit the pocket more. We are human, we're going to make mistakes, but let's try to dial it down as much as we can. At this stage of the game, we're not really worried about our score just yet if we're really trying to improve. This is where we get very process oriented, both to break 175 and when we get into the next video, breaking 200. The process means way more, because if we start to dial in our physical game before the line and start making better efforts there, the results will come. We'll hit the pocket more, we'll knock down more pins. This is where we need to start worrying about some of those things like, am I postured correctly, right? And when I see somebody averaging 160, 165, they can't really break 175, a lot of the inconsistencies come from just standing in different spots often, not setting up the same way twice. So we're gonna go through a setup checklist to make sure you're doing consistently. All right, so to start our checklist off, we're actually gonna just go keep it super simple as like everything else. We're gonna put our feet about a board apart in some sort of fashion. For right-handers, I do tend to like their right foot slightly back, as it just sets the hips up and shoulders up in a better position. Not super picky, okay? So even if you keep them together, totally fine. You're gonna stand straight up. First thing you're gonna do is you're gonna lean slightly forward, then you're gonna unlock your knees. And this is gonna feel somewhat athletic. When you look down, your eyes should be just over your toes or just in front of them. So after we have leaned forward, bent our knees slightly, we're gonna act as if we have a ball in our hand. You don't have to do this with a ball, you can if you'd like. You're going to put your elbow somewhere around 90 degrees or slightly lower for majority of people. Very rarely do you need to start it above 90, but somewhere around 90, slightly below is good. Other hand on the side of the ball, slightly in front. And you always wanna, I wouldn't say always, again, it's a little different for everybody, but a good check for me is to make sure my elbow's in the same spot every time. As I put it at the back of my body, use my other arm as a feeling point to make sure that my elbow's just with my back there. And then from there, go back to my setup. And now I'm in a good athletic position, ready to go. For those of you that have watched the to do and to not to do videos, right? Here's a good one for this one. What not to do, right? Do I look very athletic here? Not very much, right? What to do, yes? Way more athletic, way more consistent. Let's get our legs involved. And this is where we start to differentiate using our swing to throw the ball versus using our legs. When we get to that next level and we have a freer swing as we work on these things, we're going to use our lower body way more to throw the ball. So I highly suggest getting one-on-one lessons, okay? Especially when it comes to working on something footwork related or swing related, as it is very tough to learn on your own the correct way to do it. And it's just really hard to change. Once you build something and you build as much as you have to get to this average, you've probably built some habits that may be very good, maybe very bad. So as we talk about footwork, just know that this isn't the same for everybody. Body type has a lot to do with it, but this is the generic steps to good footwork. Everything that we talk about out of this video will be done in a 4-step approach, as that is very common for those in this average group. So in a 4-step approach, we talked about timing in the last video where the ball is going to move with the first step, but now we're going to talk about the direction of the first step. For most women, the first step can go very straight. We're not going to need much of a crossover, where you'll see a lot of males have a crossover to get their body out of the way and try to create more power, where women get a little more away with a little straighter footwork and making sure that everything is more in a straight line. But making sure, number one rule of footwork in this exact, development part is not sliding back into your swing. And so what I mean by that is many people will walk really straight, and then it's time to swing and throw it at their target. Especially if you're looking too far right, they're like, all right, let's go to our target now, and we step way in front of ourselves. And what that creates is no room for us to throw the ball. So now I'm gonna do it towards the camera. And so what you'll find in a 4-step approach, right? My first step goes straight, I go down with the second, up with the third. And so now I'm in a good spot, right? If I slide straight, my ball will be able to come straight down. Watch what happens when I slide in front of it. I have nowhere to go. So my hip gets in the way, the ankle gets in the way. So what does our body do? We rotate out, we get on the side of the ball early, and we tend to have release inconsistencies. So a lot of people, when we release it differently, they're blaming the bowling ball, blaming their fit, blaming all these things. A lot of the time we find footwork plays a huge part because the body gets in the way. So a drill that we use here at Turbo to help with the footwork and how to slide straighter and or farther left if we need to, is we're gonna stand on this exact drill. I'm gonna stand on 25 with my left foot. I'm gonna put my right foot slightly in front. And from here, I'm going to swing the ball, and then I'm going to step and try to finish on 25, where I'll step straight and release the ball. So it's right foot in front. We're gonna swing the ball back, and on the way down, I'll step. So it's swing back, step, swing, and if you look down, I slid right in 25. You can do this drill. You can do this drill while looking down. You have no care where the ball goes. It's more so just getting the feeling of sliding away from our body a little more, as it is a big change for many. As we talk about targeting, the number one problem we see, especially in our lessons here at Turbo, is that everybody likes to look maybe at the second arrow, around the second arrow, regardless of where they're standing. They could be standing all the way at 30 and they're looking at second arrow. Targeting causes so many issues within our swing because our body knows that if we stand too far left and we actually hit what we're looking at, we're probably gonna throw it in the gutter. So what is our body gonna compensate with? It's gonna be a lot of pulls, a lot of bad habits where we're pulling the ball, twisting our body more. So one of the biggest things I always like to have people do is stand right at the end of the line. Oops, I fouled. You're gonna stand right at the end of the line, and when you're looking from behind, you're going to more so stop caring about where you target from the beginning of the lane, but you're gonna care way more about targeting from the foul line. So practice where you throw some shots, figure out where you're sliding, and then after you throw a shot, look from where you're sliding down the lane and see if you're still targeting correctly. Majority of people will be looking way too far to the right. All right, so hitting the pocket more. It's gotta be one of our number one goals. Leave more makeable spares. And to do that, as you can see, I'm way down here. This is where majority of the end of the patterns are when you bowl on league patterns at your local bowling center. And so everybody's so worried about what's going on at the pins sometimes, but even more so like how the release is way down here. But the biggest misconception is that we have to control how much our ball is hooking down here. And so when we start talking about equipment, if your bowling ball is getting down here and still going sideways and it's not very controllable, we're not gonna hit the pocket very often. So what I really want you guys to start thinking about is how do we bring our ball motion closer to us? How do we get our ball to roll earlier so it's more controllable, hitting the pocket more? Even if you flat 10 a few extra times because your ball is running out of energy or burning up, as some people would describe it, it's totally okay. Because when we're at this stage, we're just trying to hit the pocket more, we're trying to leave more makeable spares, and then we're gonna start learning how to knock those pins over more often after we hit the pocket more. So we go over a lot of different things in these videos, right? Please, again, as always, leave comments below what you need help with to work on. We're gonna try to hit them as often as we can. And thanks for watching. As always, please, if you're struggling with any of these things, write in the comments what I can explain more or better, and I will do my best. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video.